Okay, well, first test is successful. The machine lifts it. Doesn't seem too awfully heavy for it. Seems pretty good. This is a 6-foot Harley Rake. Most of the Harley Rakes for these machines are only a 4-foot drum. But I didn't want to go that small. Now you can see this has the quick attach for a standard skid steer quick attach. So under here, we're not even close to getting the pins in the pinhole. Let's get this attachment up on some sawhorses. There's some other issues I've got with it. Gearbox needs work. I ordered a new chain for it and a few other parts I'll show. But for $1,250, can't really go wrong. So there's the chain drive. First things that I'm going to replace that I see are bad is this keeper spring here. The way it's hooked through these idlers is wrong. And then there's also supposed to be an idler wheel right here that would, spread this chain out like that before it goes through these two idlers here. This grease is just nasty. It's called double zero grease. I don't know what that means, but there's a link that looks bad and it's missing the one on the back. So I can pull this link out right here. All right. Alright, not a ton of metal on there. I mean, I feel metal shards in there, but nothing huge at the moment. I can get it. That's the connecting link I was looking for. You can see that there. That's how you put the chain back together. So, I don't know if the chain was really all that bad. I mean, obviously it was way loose in here. But I think it was mainly just because it was missing this idler wheel. Now why that idler wheel was missing is the mystery. But we got a new one coming, so. I guess cotter pins are nice because they're simple. But gosh, I hate messing with cotter pins. Wiped out some of the oil, grease, whatever you want to call it, and I went ahead and wrapped a chain around the drum so the drum can't spin. And I'm going to go ahead and get this nut off. I'm using a 38mm socket on that nut. So far the teeth look alright on this thing. Some metal shavings in there, so we'll just go ahead and get this all cleaned up. So the gearbox was mounted on this side, and it was just mounted with 2 bolts, one up top here and one right there. And I believe this one had a nut inside the gearbox, and this one was a through bolt with a nut on the back side. And you can see a splined end coming off the drum here. So over here on the table is the gearbox itself. Got it all cleaned out. Backside here is the bearing. Bearing was good, so that's good news. Wasn't torn up or anything, and it was pretty easy to take apart. Really, all you do is undo this keeper bolt. I shoved a wedge in there, which spread that out, and then over here on this side, there's actually a grease zerk in there that goes into the bearing. So you have to remove that grease zerk, and then this entire bearing just pulls out of here. And the reason I ended up taking this all apart is because I was concerned when you look at the parts manual, there were 2 shims that went behind this gear inside the gearbox. And when I pulled this gear off, there was only one of those shims, which I thought there was something wrong because the edge of this was all cut up. I've since sanded it down a little bit there, you can see, or hit it with a grinder. But the inside of this gearbox was all torn up. So I thought something might have been wrong with this, and it turns out there was only one of them in here. Here's the one I pulled out, and it was supposed to have 2 of them in there. And this one's pretty well worn or ground down or something or another. So another issue I had was the spring. I ordered this spring, is what the parts manual showed first. That's incorrect. So here's the difference in springs. This is what was in there. Piece of crap. This is what I ordered first, and it turns out that's for the newer models, not for mine. And this is what I needed, that special end spring right there. So we'll go ahead and get this back together, and I'll go through details of putting that back together, which will definitely help if you're going to be taking it apart. But it's really simple. And then I also got a new chain. I just ordered roller chain from Napa, and I counted out the 93 links that it needed, and also made sure it was the same length as the old chain, which is down there in the box, and got the new chain made up. So this gearbox should be ready to go. I've got new idler wheels going in, and this is a center idler that the newer models use, but my older model does not show this in the parts manual. But I'm going to try to retrofit this in anyway because I think it'll help with the life of the chain. And the only other thing that I've ordered that I thought of is a new O-ring on here, which I got from a local store. They wanted like $20 for this O-ring, and it was a standard size that I got from like a rubber and gasket store here locally. So I got 2 of them for like $3. Okay, kind of crazy way to crib it up here, but I didn't want to set the weight of the whole attachment down on that drum because it's not attached on this end, and there's a bearing on that end, and it would kind of like, you know, tweak that bearing from the weight of the attachment being on the drum. So the drum is held up right now by that ratchet strap, so it's not hanging and putting stress on that. And anyway, so yeah. So this shows what goes on the end of the drum there. So we're right here in this area, and before the bearing plate, we have a few items. We've got 2 of the number 25s, then the number 9, and then right there is 11, which is our bearing, and then that 19 right there, that's that O-ring seal that was in there against this metal plate in the housing, and that's what I just used the C-clamps to tighten down that O-ring right there. So this is the part number 9, and this will fit against those bushings there, and then this clean side here fits up against the bearing. Okay, so I'm looking here at my parts diagram, and what we're going to need to do is we're going to need to install the chain in here, and also install this bottom gear at this end that's going to slip over the shaft of the pulverizer. So we're going to get everything set up in here properly, and then from there we'll just slide the whole assembly over that shaft. And right here is the mounting bolt that'll mount into the frame of the Harley Rake there. So the outside 2 washers are these. They've got a pin on them. They're called pinned washers. I think that has something to do with the keeping the spring from slipping off. So those will go on the outside. And the inside just gets normal washers. Idler wheels. And the pinned washers. So this chain will be next. I got this chain from Napa. Way cheaper than ordering it from the Harley Rake dealer. It's just a number 50 chain, number 50-2. And then down here, you need to get this sprocket gear in, which I'm showing behind this sprocket gear we need 2 of the number 22s. So here are the 22s. These are new. I had to order these. This rake, when I bought it, it only had 122. And it was actually a different thickness than it was supposed to be. But the drawing shows 2 of these and there was only 1 in there. Which is why the back of this gear here was rubbing on this housing so bad. So I'm just gonna take these 2 and stick them in there. Obviously they're not gonna really line up with anything at this time, but when I go to slip it on this shaft, I'll have to get those lined up. It'll fit through there. Happens if we try this method though. That's pretty easy. Looks good there. And then this housing is going to go on here. Now the only thing that's iffy, and I'll get to later, is the new design puts this here so that the chain runs around that as well. My drawing doesn't show to use this idler wheel. The new ones use it. So I'm gonna, I ordered it. I'm gonna see if I can make it work with my machine. And the tech guy with Harley Rake said it'd be good to use if I can use it. So then the next thing is 35, which is this. This fits against that gear, and then the castle nut goes against that. And what this should do is tighten up and pull the shaft and everything closer to the end of this here. This is 1.5 inch. There's probably a torque spec for this that I don't know. I'm gonna kind of just tighten it down a lot first to see how far I can pull the shaft through the bearing and all of that. And then I'm gonna let it off and see what happened. All right, that's about as tight as she wants to go there. Let's see if we can back it off. And basically what I'm checking here now is to make sure, that we're not flush with the end of that shaft, because then this would not be holding anything in place. So we're not, so that's good. Put this big castle nut back on. So next thing will be our spring. See if this is going to be difficult or easy. Not going to be too bad. We're there. Come on, baby. Get in there. There she goes. Bada boom. We're in spring. Wow, that feels nice. All right, see if this will work. I don't see why not. Heck yeah. All right. So the detail for this showed just putting these 2 big washers on, one behind and one in front, and then use this, they call it a rotor clip, fits over that, and once it goes on it can't really come off very easily. All right, I think that's gonna be perfect. Yeah, basically that keeps the chain slap from hitting on that thing. So that'll be good. So we've got this plate here. I got a new O-ring for it. All right, so you kind of loosely bolt that on and you hook that over the lip. Hook that over the lip like that. Make sure your O-ring's seated still. These are just 1/4 inch by 20 threads per inch standard bolts. So this is the oil that it calls for. It's called double lot grease. I could only find this at Tractor Supply. Apparently it's the same stuff they use on like corn heads, agriculture equipment. And it's the same shit I had to clean out of this thing. So I can tell you right now that it's nasty, nasty grease. And I don't know, I think it was like 3/4 of a quart required. So this is 1 quart. You can see what it looks like. Let's get it all over stuff here. So I've gone ahead and gotten the brackets torched off the old skid steer plate, and gonna go ahead and get them cut at it a little bit shorter and a little bit steeper angle. So going with a shorter arm will bring the attachment closer to the machine, which will help with the lift capacity. And then also putting this at a little bit steeper angle I'm gonna cut it at here will help when I bring the arms all the way down and then I curl the bucket up or curl the attachment up off the ground. It'll help get that drum off the ground so I can let my arms all the way down so I can open the door of the skid steer. Little bit of grinding cleanup and ready to weld. Look at that smooth freaking cut. 1/4 inch plate, 1/4 inch box tube. That's awesome. People, I'd like to say I know what I'm doing, but that's far from the truth. But look at this. Those 2 plates are lined up here. Both coming down, and boom. Look at that. Perfect cut, same angle, all the way across. Both box tubes, ready to go. All we got to do is mount this back up to the Harley Rake, and we got a new skid steer quick attach plate coming, and we'll mount it to that and get to welding on that. All right, so we're back in the garage. We got these arms bolted back on and got them trimmed up already, showed that earlier. Got a quick attach plate. Like I said, I didn't end up making this myself. I got it from ES Attachments, I think it was. 245 bucks shipped. Made sure it fit on the machine, fit good. Might need to trim these holes out a little bit larger. And then what I'll probably do too is I'll take a piece of 1/4 inch strap, 1/4 inch thick strap, and weld it on the bottom side here, right along this edge, just to stiffen that up from where that pin puts a lot of force. You can see it was done here on this attachment, and I'm just gonna copy that. I think that was a good idea. See, they've just welded an extra bar of steel there so the pin can grab onto more. Anyway, got it at an angle I think I'm happy with. Put some pretty heavy tacks on it. I'm gonna get the machine hooked up to it and see how it looks. My main concerns, what I'd like to see happen is I'd like to see it pick it up, get off these sawhorses, come back, and then what I'd like to see it do is be able to put the arms all the way down and the bucket will be curled all the way up so that this attachment can be sitting with this drum on the ground and the loader arms and this quick attach plate basically, you know, just a couple inches off the ground. Because if that goes all the way down, then that will allow me to open my door. And I want to be able to get in and out of the machine. So that's what I'm hoping will happen. And to do that, a couple things I did was I shortened these arms here, and I also made this angle a little more extreme on this plate, so when I curl the bucket up, it'll have a better angle and chance of this thing going all the way down. So let's get hooked up here. All right, I'd say we're at complete success. That worked great. Exactly like I needed it to. Got it all the way down, got to get the door open. I'm going to unbolt this thing and take this entire quick attach plate off again, and so I can weld it just in a flat position instead of having to do upright and everything. Get it painted, probably paint a little bit more of the Harley Rake here, and we'll be ready for a test. First time using a Harley Rake, and I'm pretty excited. That was like 5 minutes or so, and you know, this area wasn't bad, but it was where a bunch of driftwood had landed, and I kind of graded it out with the bucket and the mini excavator, but just smoothed this all out, pushed a bunch of sticks up into some areas here, and that's really awesome. I can tell just from my usage so far, forward works pretty good, but man, if you back drag that and put it in float mode and you just deal with the you know, the bucket curl a little bit, you can really fine tune the level of this as you reverse, with the arms able to float up and down, but you're controlling the height of the drum with the curl of the bucket. So excited to add this to the arsenal. I'll have a big job coming up here where I've got about an acre yard to redo, and I'm gonna try to redo it all with that. I've already sprayed the yard, and I'm gonna try to just Harley Rake the whole thing rather than tilling it. So I hope you guys enjoyed, and hopefully this will help somebody out here in the future if they're trying to put a 6-foot rake on an ASV RT40. So far, I don't see any issues with the capacity or anything with handling this Harley Rake. And this is a Harley MX6 power rake, one of the older models with the gear-driven case. But anyway, I'm excited. Got a little bit of figuring out to do with the adjustment of the wheels and so on, and we'll just play with it more from here. I have the wings that go on the side too. They go either on the front sides, or you can flip them around and put them on the back. I'll just experiment with those and see what works best. What do you think, baby? Yeah. Give us a honk. Give us a honk. All right, you guys have a good day.